Put it together for Monte Schulz, the author. He's got a new novel, and he is someone who has a distinguished personal past, I think, because he is the son of the late cartoonist Charles M. Schulz, who everybody knows. Yeah. And Monte Schulz has done a new coming-of-age novel, and it sounds really intriguing. And I'll let Monte tell us more about it. But hey, cool to meet you, Monte Schulz. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I struggled to get the. I was fighting with Firefox. I don't use Firefox.
No.
Do I really need it? Okay, I guess I do. And I just got it all working together just as I joined this. Okay.
Well, we have a rich history of technical frustration with everything to do with this new platform that we're on. You know, we were on KGO Radio. Do you remember KGO Radio? They went away. And we took our entire radio show over here. And when we did it, we had all kinds of technical problems of the sort that you're describing, and we still have them. So welcome to our madness, Monte Schulz. It's it's pretty brutal.
Monte Schulz, are you in Sonoma County?
No, I'm in Santa Barbara.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I moved down here in '78 for graduate school. I live here and in Hawaii. Also have a house up in Nevada City in the Sierra foothills. Where it's actually having real snow. Okay, but Santa Barbara is pretty.
Yeah.
What did you study? What did you study? What was your degree in?
My bachelor's degree was in English, and my master's degree was in American Studies. And then I started writing fiction. Actually, I did computer game reviews for a long time for a couple of companies. That's cool. Then I started writing fiction. I write music too.
Wow! Look at that.
I started writing as a songwriter. And then my dad saw I had a gift for lyrical language, and he pushed me right away into writing fiction, prose.
Well, I mean, it seems like a creative household to grow up in, you know, the Charles M. Schulz household. And I have to tell you, when I was introduced to the idea of having you on the show, I thought, wow, I wonder if he's a guy who didn't get along with his dad because his dad had such a big, profile in the community and was so celebrated. I mean, oftentimes a child can feel as though, their own limelight is being stolen by that's a delicate balance as a parent. I wonder what your relationship was. It doesn't sound like you had that, though.
No, there was a biography written about my dad by David Michaelis, who talked to us and interviewed us for 6 years. And then he wrote that my dad was a tortured, cold, distant artist who didn't have time for his kids, which is the biggest lie imaginable. Dad used to take me to baseball games at Candlestick Park, double headers. He took me to see Game 6 of the 1962 World Series. We played baseball outdoors. We played tennis. Dad wasn't. I think the thing to remember, Dad didn't become famous in the popular culture until three things arose. There were the Determined Production small book Happiness is a Warm Puppy. Okay, that hit mass market, and then the Clark Gessner's musical "You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown," and then I think it was in '65 or something, the Charlie Brown Christmas. So those three things put him in the spotlight of popular culture. But before that, he was just my dad, and he wrote a comic strip. He was not really famous in town that I know. I was really surprised when I was in sixth grade. One of my friends knew Peanuts. Oh yeah, I like it. Really? I just didn't know anybody who did anything except that was my dad. He just wrote this cartoon strip, and so he wasn't. No, I wouldn't say he was popular culture famous when growing up. And there was no. So this question you ask about being in his shadow, I never felt that at all. All of us loved him, and he was very fun and very engaging with the kids all the time. We could walk in his studio and say, "Hi, Dad," and he would talk for us a little bit. And then finally, he was sort of hint, it's time for us to go, so you get back to work.
How many kids were there?
5. I have an older sister, a brother a year younger, than 2 younger sisters.
I have a hard-hitting journalistic question for you. Do you get free ice skating for life at the Charles Schulz Ice Skating Arena?
Okay, the Charles Schulz Ice Skating Arena is 450 miles or so north of me, right? So, I did play hockey for 40 years. So I don't. Wow. In fact, they have an ice rink here in Santa Barbara now. Actually, out by Goleta, near UC Santa Barbara.
Yeah.
And my son, John Henry, has been skating every day. But I went out with a stick and puck for the first time in 5 years a couple of weeks ago. I was skating really well, and then that night I tripped over a footstool in my sitting room upstairs and sprained the MCL in my right knee.
No.
So I don't know when I can go back out on the ice.
The dream is dead, Monte. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, my ex came out, watched me handle the puck. You know, he's a really good hockey player. And she's watching. I'm struggling to keep the puck on my stick, and her comment was, "How the mighty have fallen." So, okay, thanks.
It happens to all of us. Yeah, that's it's a tough realization. I mean, you started the Santa Barbara Writers Conference, so you're someone who really celebrate writing, and sort of in your life, you've both been a writer. Your first novel was in 1990, is what I was reading.
Yeah, Down by the River. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't start the conference. Barnaby Conrad started the conference, and Dad was one of his first speakers. It was interesting how he got people to speak there. He told Ray Bradbury, Charles M. Schulz is coming to the conference. So Ray said he would join. And then he told James Michener, well, Ray Bradbury's coming to the conference. And so James Michener agreed. So he got
That's
all this
the way things are done, right?
And so I used to go to the conference in 75 and 76 and watch my dad speak. And I attended a couple of poetry workshops. And then when I went to graduate school and moved to Santa Barbara, I would go there and listen to him speak. And then I started joining workshops. And then later on, Barnaby Conrad sold the conference to a woman in town. And then she, with some crazy business ventures, ended up losing the conference in Chapter 7. And I bought it. And I've just sort of run it the way Barnaby ran it, like my dad experienced. So I do own it, and I teach a workshop. Yep.
So as a writer, and we can double back and pick up anything, Kim, if somebody's got questions about, growing up in the household of Charles M. Schulz, but I really want to talk to Monte about being a writer for a second, because being a writer, it seems as though, at least with you, based on everything I've read and sort of know about you, you spend a lot of time birthing these novels. I mean, it's not something that you crank out over a 6-month period.
No, my first novel, Down by the River, took about 5 years to write, but it's not. But I was finishing graduate school at the time too. Oh, they spelled my name wrong. No T in Schulz. Okay.
Albert, wait a minute. Excuse me for a second. Albert, how dare you?
You know that if you live in Sonoma County, because everything is named Schulz, right?
Unbelievable.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
I want to apologize to you, Monte.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the question again? I forgot.
Exactly. No, we were talking about how long it takes to birth.
Oh yeah. Okay. So Down by the River took 5 years. It shouldn't have taken 5 years, but I was occupied writing computer game reviews and writing my master's thesis and that sort of thing. And also I hadn't written a book like that before. Actually, I wrote 90 pages of scenes of people getting killed. It was going to be a cheap supermarket paperback slasher novel. And then I just gave up. I couldn't figure out what was going to happen. Wrote my master's thesis on small town America, and then read those scenes, and I really liked them. I thought they're better than I remembered. And then I grafted a small town novel onto a book about people getting killed and made it a mystery instead. But then I wrote a novel set in the spring and summer and fall of 1929, Crossing Eden. That took me 10 years to write. It was a really complicated book. It's a 1,000-page book, and it's 3 novels interwoven as one. But Metropolis is kind of interesting because I was up in Nevada City a month ago, and I saw the original file on an old iBook of it, and it said the first save was June 11th, 2001. So I was still working on the Crossing Eden novels, editing them and getting them published, when I wrote 50 pages of Metropolis. I gave it up because I couldn't figure out how the main character, Julian Bream, a 22-year-old college student, could be studying the Greeks and the Romans in a fictional republic. And so I just gave the book up, obviously published the other books. And then in 2019, in Hawaii, I came back and looked at the book. And I figured out that it's like Bradbury says, how could he be studying that? Because I say it so. And then I picked up that book in August of 2019 and wrote the rest of the 6. I had 50 pages that I'd written in 2001. And I wrote the rest of it in 9 months. So with no
like
outline.
Having a baby.
I just made it up. I made up the whole thing as I wrote. It was 668 page novel I wrote in 9 months.
I mean, it tells me that when you find the way, like the moment of inspiration, you go, oh my God, I've got it. Then you can really scorch it.
Right. That's exactly. Although when I look at now, I can see how just could have been that. the way I write the book is much complicated. Oh, did I disappear? What's up with that?
No, we
can
see
you
you.
still hear me?
You said the way
Yeah,
you
yeah,
write
yeah.
the book is
So,
a bit complicated. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess Metropolis would be the anomaly. I just never had any problems with it at all. There was no such thing as, well, my dad had a good line about writer's block, for instance. He said, only amateurs get writer's block, professionals can't afford it. So I have always felt that way as a writer. I don't let myself have any blocks. I just write. And when I teach writing this, I tell people, just if you think, oh, I'm blocked, well, just write a page. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, but you might get some idea out of it. You don't get anything out of a blank page. So I tell people writer's block is just either being lazy or afraid to write something bad. And it's better to write something bad than nothing at all. So anyway, I wrote Metropolis. It just was easy to write. And I'm writing a sequel to it right now. And it's also pretty much easy to write. I don't know how. I don't really know how Metropolis ended up being so easy. Stephen King says no novel of any length should take more than a season to write. But I read all his books. His writing is kind of sloppy now and then, but he just blasts for it. He's got some, unending energy to finish these books.
I mean, he's prolific, but you're saying sometimes you feel as though maybe like the second draft got onto the page instead of like a third draft.
I don't even know if he writes like that. I just say that there's certain mistakes he makes here and there. He has a novel called Cell I really liked, but they're going along this band of people get out of the city to avoid being killed by cell phones, and they found this AK-47. They say, we're going to call it, we decided to call it Sir Speedy. That's on the left side of the page. Then on the right side of the page, it says, we found a AK-47 we were calling Sir Speedy. Okay, you just said that. 4 pages later, we had our AK-47 we were calling Sir Speedy. I know I got it, Steve.
That is a bit sloppy, I got to say.
But that's okay, because Stephen King's writing to me is really about storytelling. He's a really great storyteller. And if he hears this, like, Steve, I read all your books. Okay, so and I pay for it.
There you go. I have two more questions in our last few moments with Monte Schulz, the author of the new book Metropolis. It's a novel coming of age story with a twisted sort of moral, apparently a moral
about eugenics.
Yeah, about eugenics. There you go. I mean, it sounds truly intriguing, Monte. Were you able to open doors? And I have to think that being Charles Schulz's son allowed you to, and there's nothing wrong with this, by the way. I mean, I think it would almost be, I'd fault you if you didn't use it to some extent to open doors and to make stuff happen and to kind of make some of your artistic dreams come together.
No, it doesn't help at all, as it turns out. It just hasn't. I mean, I thought when I first published the first part of my Crossing Eden book, I broke it into 3 books and published it as This Side of Jordan. I thought, wow, so Snoopy Club has like 1 million fans. I thought if just 1% buys This Side of Jordan, which is what I broke it, retitled it when I broke it up, it's a bestseller. Apparently, like nobody did. So it hasn't. No, it's surprising. Some people become famous and they say, "Well, I had all these things happen for me. It's sort of amazing." It's just doors open. It just hasn't happened for me. Doors open is a brick wall behind it. So
that's interesting. I mean, it makes sense now that you say it, that maybe that audience, the Peanuts audience, is different than the audience that might be into reading a novel. But nonetheless, out of curiosity, as you say, 1%, you would think.
No, but it's that I think the thing is like if I were a cartoonist, I think it would have really helped, right? I also think, honestly, if Dad had been alive when I started to publish this book, Crossing Eden, where he's in it actually, as a character, narrative, and some stories and everything, I think that would have made a big difference. Okay, but once he was dead, I might as well have been, Jim Jackson or something from someplace else.
I'm going to ask you one last question. It's sort of uncomfortable, but that's why I make the big money, which is for questions like this.
Okay.
Growing up with such a successful father, I mean, who did become so much a part of the culture and has been celebrated in so many ways. I mean, it's just magnificent, the legacy of your dad.
Right.
And you seem like a really centered dude to be, and just in a really maybe that's the writer in you or whatever, I don't know, or the philosopher in you, because I know you're, that it's another area of interest to you. Did you grow up with any anxiety about making a living, or was that always something that you never had to worry about because of, coming from this family that clearly, had a couple of dollars as a result of your dad's success?
I don't think actually I ever really thought about it, because in hindsight, I can look at it like that. but I didn't really think about it because I don't think I ever really knew what I wanted to do. I was going to go to graduate school, and then maybe I would be a teacher. I mean, we came from a small town. Really, the rest of the family, relatives and everything, were all lower middle class people. My dad's aunt and uncle moved out to California with us. Got ordinary jobs. My aunt Marion, worked at the telephone company, right? And Uncle Bus, Wesley Reed, got a job as the custodian at the elementary school. Okay, cleaning the school and driving the school bus. So I had no real reference to fame and fortune. I didn't really see it that way. And so I pictured myself just having like a regular job, I guess. And I mean, life evolves the way it does.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that explains why you're so centered. I mean, you didn't live the gilded life,
no, we were very comfortable. We had many advantages. I don't deny any of them. I write what I can. I'm very pleased with Dad loved my writing, and I love what I've written. I just feel like the gods said to me, okay, here's the thing. You make this choice. You can write a great book and 2 great books, okay? Or you can have commercial and popular success, which will be. And I realized I would choose to write the great book, because once the reviews and the money and the fame is gone, you're left with a book on the shelf. Yep. And so that's how it's actually played out for me. I have no more expectations of becoming famous. Ooh, that's a nice cover.
There's the book Metropolis, Monte Schulz's latest. So cool to meet you, Monte Schulz. I wish you the best of luck with this latest. What's that, Kim?
I said, speaking of the book on the shelf, I just wanted to show a picture of it so so people can go out and grab it, because it's a great work.
It's a fun book to read. The cover, by the way, is by Angela Lizon. She's a painter from Bristol in the UK. It's really fabulous. So the book it's a fun book to read, and it's about eugenics. It's about what happens to a country who decides that the worst among us should be gotten rid of. Eugenics is more pernicious than genocide because it targets anybody you hate. So that's what the book is about. A college student growing up in this republic in the last days of the eugenics crusade.
Wow, it's super intriguing. So is there almost a sci-fi element as well? It sounds like there's a sci-fi element, a societal, cultural question, moral questions.
It's a moral question. It's I don't know. My publisher says it's kind of sci-fi. I said I don't know. It's just a fictional republic, and it's a I guess a dystopian novel, right? And and it's not about a pandemic, and it's not about aliens killing people. It's about us killing people and what happens in a society that does that. I guess the analogy would be like if Julian Bree, my character, were a college senior at Heidelberg University in Germany in 1943.
Right.
How does he live in that society? And with the desolation, I have a desolation where a war is taking place, and that would be the equivalent to the war in the Soviet Union at that time, with millions and millions of people being killed. And so and he falls in love. It's a love story too. He falls in love with a woman who's sort of revolutionary, a bohemian, and so he's led into this. He's shown more of the world than he ever imagined there was.
Well, when you really want to corrupt yourself and get away from the purity of writing, go to Hollywood and try to get it turned into a movie, and then you'll see how you really
This would make a really good.
It sounds like it.
It sounds like really good.
But you then have to sell out a bunch of like key things because the executives will go, "What if can we make him more like?" Okay. Hey, Monte, you're the best to hang out with us. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And good luck with the novel, my friend.
It was really fun. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thanks.
Monte Schulz, everybody.